Joining me today, and surprisingly wearing the same fantastic getup as Draymond Green's jacket and short combo, and also Dark Horse for Blogger of the Year, KL Chenard. Woo! How's it
Thank
going?
you. Good. It's going well.
Going well. What have you been up to since the playoffs have ended? Have you been taking a break or anything?
Yeah, it's been pretty calm. It, picks up a little bit for the draft, and I'm sure it will again very soon for free agency. But yeah, kind of chilling. I'm actually been playing a lot of basketball
Oh,
instead
really?
of writing about it. Yeah, just yeah, it's fun.
I had my old moment these last couple of months, my old man moment playing
Okay.
pickup. I realized I tried to, I think, dive for a ball, and I got up the next morning, realized my lower back was feeling strained. And I was like, oh no,
Oof.
oh no. And I can't physically push people like I used to without feeling it. So
Uh-oh.
it's getting rough. All right. Well, then, I, for one, am glad to have you here, and I'm sure all of the listeners who have been following you are glad to have you here as well. For those that don't know, KL here is the host of the podcast ATL in 29. Now, normally, KL, I don't really go on and talk about the competition in the Atlanta podcast world, all three or four or five of us that are podcasting. But yours is so good that I had to make an exception. So just please know that. No, I'm kidding. So, I caught some of your most recent episode where you were talking about the NBA awards, or at least the NBA awards show. How was it? Was it better than the player awards? And was it watchable? Because it seemed like they put some money and a budget into it. Oh no! I think he left again.
Hello.
Hey,
I'm sorry.
only with you do I have connection issues. No, I'm kidding.
Really? Oh.
Oh, I don't know. It's hmm. Okay. What was the last thing you heard me say?
Oh, let's see. I think you were saying ATL in 29 was about the
Okay.
last thing I heard.
Okay. I'm okay. I really don't know why. My connection has been good for like the past 3 months. I wonder why it's messing up. It doesn't want me to talk to you. That's what it is. The
Uh-oh.
universe doesn't. I hope not. Okay, let me start over with ATL in 29.
Okay.
Um, so for those of you guys that don't know, KL here is the host of the fantastic podcast ATL and 29. Now, normally I hate to bring the competition on here. Kidding. But I'm going to make an exception for you because yours is so good. Tell me a little bit about your podcast and just some of the more interesting things that you feel you've covered or have done so far. And I don't know, things you've learned. I love to
Uh,
hear other people's thoughts.
oh boy. I don't know. We try to mix it up. I don't know that there are too many common threads. It seems like it's different every week. I guess if there were two things that I normally try to do each week, it's try to get in some audio from the players or coaches or whoever it is who are around that week, and then the other thing is, even though we talk about some of the other NBA teams, I usually try to include something about the Hawks.
Oh, yeah.
So those are the two main threads. Other than that, I'm not really sure where it's going to go every week.
Well, I appreciate, for one, the audio. And it's refreshing to hear, especially if you're at work or driving. So I caught some of your most recent episode. You were talking about the NBA award show.
Mhm.
How was the award show? Did it seem better than the Players Awards? Because it seemed like this award show had a budget.
Had a budget. Oh, you mean like as in a non-zero budget?
I guess so. They had Drake, hosting it. They randomly had Nicki Minaj come out, which was a little strange. But hey, we'll go on from there.
No, I thought it was pretty good. Sometimes I'm used to sort of trying to manage Twitter with the basketball game. And with the basketball game, there are sometimes things that suck you back into the game and get you out of Twitter. And I kind of get my head wrapped up in Twitter too much. So with the award show, I needed somebody to say, hey, look at the TV every now and then. And I wasn't that good about it. But, it picked up at the end with the Sager Award and with Russ's MVP speech. I like that. It ended on a strong note.
I really liked the Sager Award. I thought it was like really unique of how they kind of presented it with giving, well, one, they had Ernie present it, but also, okay, maybe I might be rethinking this wrong. Were they kind of, how do I say this? Using as a trophy, kind of one of Sager's jackets. Is that how that turned out around that point when they gave it to Monty Williams? Uh, 24. Okay, I just got your message about the phone.
Let me see if the phone will work better. I've got a computer that's just not good. I think it might be my computer. I don't know. Just the audio on it's not good. Okay, let's see here. Oh, jeez. Okay. Oh.
Well, whatever it is, I think I'm picking up the audio, but you said mine wasn't working. Hmm.
Hello. Hello.
Hey. Yeah, I can
Hey.
hear you.
Hey. Sorry, the audio is probably not going to be as good on this, but I think it will be reliable. I don't know what happened. I recorded my podcast last night on the on that same computer, same setup, everything, and it worked fine. And then today, it seems unstable.
Oh, that's fine. Um, let me see. Any chance that you have any? Sorry, I'm having difficulty here. Any chance you have any headphones? Because I'm getting a pretty big echo.
Yeah. Yep. Got some.
All right.
Okay. How about now?
All right. Let me see anything. Okay, cool. All right. Huh. I don't know. Maybe it's just one of those nights where things are don't want to act funny. Is my audio coming good
I
through?
can hear you okay. Yeah.
All right. Okay. Hmm. Let me see here. Um. Okay, well, I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to edit some of what we talked about earlier, but I'm going to try to start a little bit after the NBA awards.
Okay.
Okay, so let me go ahead and get into it. Okay. So, one of the big things in the awards was obviously the award show and rewards they were giving out. I want to, first of all, say congratulations to the Hawks. We were part of the main part of an award, and that was Victor Oladipo's Dunk of the Year. And I noticed to see that there were Hawks in the background, and it was in Atlanta. So you know what? I take that as a W. But are there any other kind of awards that you would want to bring significance to, KL?
You mean like the ones I agree with, or the ones I don't agree with, or what do you think?
Let's go have fun and say ones that you don't agree with.
Well, for starters, that one with the dunk, I thought Larry Nance's dunk was better. The one where
Yeah.
he went way over Brook Lopez.
Yeah.
That was one of the best dunks I've ever seen. And
Yes.
it's great that they're teammates now. Although, if I were an NBA team, I would call the Lakers to see what they would want for Larry Nance Jr.
Hmm. Onto something there. Um,
He's 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 a very good player. I think he kind of fits with uh with the modern NBA. And when I like when you kind of get a guy after he's got a couple of seasons under his belt. You kind of pay for somebody else to teach him, and then you kind of sneak in and pluck him right when he's about to figure things out. I don't know.
that
I would love to see him on the team that I was rooting for.
that
For the Hawks, I think he kind of plays that warrior style of basketball that I think Travers Schlenk wants to play in terms of the defensive side of things. And
yeah.
I mean, I think he would look good.
Well,
If
that
that doesn't
seemed.
count, it's tampering.
I hope not. Do I need to bleep this whole part out?
No, I don't think so. but I totally got you off topic. We were talking about awards somehow at the beginning of that.
Yeah, well, I had a great setup. Although that seems to be consensus that everybody likes the Larry Nance Jr. dunk better, and got me off topic. I'm like, yeah, that's kind of been the Hawks' mo, taking a guy as he's learning and going with it. But you know what? We were talking about awards. I thought this was a bigger win for Atlanta than Deshaun Stevenson hitting that game-winning three in the Big Three League. I don't know if you had a chance to see that or not. Former Atlanta Hawk great.
I have not committed to the big three yet, I have to say.
I don't know. It's half-court basketball. It's a traveling team. You get to see the guys who are really out of shape and the guys who are really, really, really out of shape. Um, it's kind of
Maybe I'm cruel. I want to see the guys that are out of shape and the guys that are really out of shape play 5-on-5 and go full court.
oh, well. Iverson was looking kind of winded. Of what I saw, Allen Iverson was looking kind of winded, and he got a huge applause for his first jumper that he made, but he also was missing like layups, and it was it was
I
it
don't
was
want to see that.
it was kind of bad. Yeah.
Maybe he needs
Well,
to wait for it. Practice.
oh,
I'm sorry.
prac,
That's terrible.
prac. Oh, bringing up old jokes that will never get old.
No.
But anyway, since we're talking about the Hawks and their recent award with Dunk of the Year. Oh, now I know what I wanted to bring up. So, how should because you're a writer and you're in with the media, should I feel bad for the possible anger that these writer who voted for Isaiah Thomas for the all defensive team, should I feel bad for his possible mentions that the comments that he's getting? Because I personally just want to if I could find him, I want to ask him, how did you come to the conclusion to vote um, Isaiah Thomas for all defensive player? Because I believe, unless if I'm reading the chart wrong, which I don't have in front of me, I believe he also ended up voting like LaMarcus Aldridge for a third place vote, I believe, for defensive player of the year.
Which, it's probably not good, but it's probably not crazy either. I mean, the Spurs had a very good defense. He was the featured big man. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess the Isaiah Thomas thing is bad in the sense that Isaiah Thomas isn't a good defensive player, but it's not like he voted him for defensive player of the year. I mean, he kind of gave him the 10th spot among the 10 players that he picked. I mean,
Yeah.
so he made a
Yeah.
mistake. It's everybody needs to chill out. Although I'm still very glad that Mike Scott got the same type of vote last year.
Oh, I loved that. Okay. You know
He
what?
played good defense that season. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
he wasn't going to be
Best.
one of the 10 best players in the league at defense, but you know, he played a good defensive year, so I was happy.
Well, staying on the subject, it kind of gets me upset about the whole Paul Millsap not making it on the list. And I know some people in Hawks fandom were upset that Giannis, I'm not going to attempt to say his
Oh
name.
no, come on, it's not that hard. Giannis Antetokounmpo.
Antetokounmpo. Yes. Yes, I had to practice for it though. I just need to hear it once so I can get it correctly. That's why I got you here, KL. But
So yeah, so it was like a goofy tiebreaker, and the reason Paul Millsap isn't going to make the second team all defense is because some people voted Giannis as a guard, and the people who voted
oh
Giannis as a guard gave him first place votes, and the first place votes broke the tie. So it was
oh
kind of shaky.
okay.
If you could only vote for Giannis as a forward, Millsap wins that running away, and only because Giannis is sort of a guard, although not really as much this season as last season.
Yeah.
Uh, he kind of snuck in the back door and won the tiebreaker and got the votes that counted twice as much because they made him first team as a guard. Yeah, he's a
Oh
7-foot guard, so he's going to be good at defense.
yeah. Okay. That kind of clears it up for me. I know some people are still upset, but hey, what can you do? Should we also be upset about the whole rookie team rankings? Me personally, I wasn't terribly upset. A lot of people in Atlanta I know are upset that their guy Torrin Prince didn't make any type of rookie award, though. To me, it's for this regular season and not the playoffs. Um, I don't know. Should we be upset about Prince not getting any recognition?
No, I mean he didn't play that much in the regular season, and that's what the vote was for. So
Yeah.
it it was it's such a dismal rookie of the year and all rookie team class. Anyways, I mean
Yeah.
he may end up being one of the best players from that group, but as far as doing it in his rookie season, he might just have to wait a bit. But it's
Yeah.
not a terribly promising class. You get into like the second team all rookie, and it was kind of really, really, really.
Yeah.
It's like so he'll be all right.
Yeah.
It's kind of a trivial honor. I mean, the kind of the rookie of the year thing's kind of real because the best rookie only played 31 games, and so that's a little bit interesting. But like second team all rookie team, that's just so minor.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm with you on that, and Hawks fans be happy that he did well in the playoffs for what he was given, and he got the experience. Let's
Yeah,
let's let's roll
he's
with that.
exciting. He
Let's
is the future of the team in a lot of respects.
let's roll with that. So moving on, Kale, I want to ask you. Now we covered this on previous podcasts. I talked. Everyone, go back and check out my recording with Patrick about the draft and Glenn for a little preview to the draft. But to you, what was the most fascinating thing that kind of happened in the past week? We've had a lot. The Hawks drafted for offense. Dwight Howard was traded. The dominoes seemingly falling correct in the Hawks' favor for the whole Jimmy Butler trade. If you're following the Timberwolves need to make the playoffs for the Hawks to get the 15th pick. Um, was there something that kind of stuck out to you for that was something fascinating or strange or funny that happened Atlanta wise?
Not really. I mean, it just seems like they're getting some good fortune to go their way. Things are going pretty well. I think they got some players that they really like and some offensive players. And like you said, the Jimmy Butler thing seems like something that's gonna turn out their way. I mean, it's hard to see the Timberwolves not making the playoffs if they have Jimmy Butler. So things are looking up.
I imagine
We might need that before free agency.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I imagine the Timberwolves might struggle at first, but yeah, I'm with you.
Doesn't matter.
Um, yeah, I'm with you though. I can't imagine them not making it unless something catastrophic happens.
I mean,
S
in the East, they seems like they'd be a lock to make it. Though the West is kind of a challenge.
Yeah, I mean, they would just have to beat out
Like
who was
Portland or something.
yeah, beat out Portland. Got to hope that New Orleans doesn't magically improve, I guess, with their front
Yeah, they
court.
won't.
No, they won't. Okay, okay.
I don't
You
know. I'm
heard
not
it
a cous-
here.
I'm not a Cousins believer, and I'm not really a two big man believer either. And I don't know that they have enough guards to make it work. I don't know.
The
I'm not
issue
that
with
high on the Pelicans,
yeah, and
especially if they lose Holiday.
oh yeah, if they lose Drew Holiday, that's yeah, I'm kind of with you on the Pelicans. And Boogie is another conversation on its own, and just some of stories I've heard in various podcasts or articles about him that makes me kind of want to step back from that. But you just mentioned that the Hawks, no, they drafted offense, or at least I mentioned that. And I believe you had a chance to sit down and listen to a John Collins interview that happened recently in Hawksland. Uh, could you talk to us about that a little bit?
So they had their press conference. Um, They did it at the Fox South studio because the arena is being torn up.
Oh yeah.
We're recording what on a Tuesday night,
Yes.
so Wednesday afternoon there is a press conference in Phillips to release the arena redesign plans.
Okay.
And from what I've heard, it's already sort of deep under construction. So, so yeah, we were at the Fox Studios, and so they did sort of the regular press conference. They had Bud sitting in the first row. Travis Schlink was up on the stage with the three rookies,
Yeah.
and they kind of got their standard round of questioning in group format. And then when that was done, kind of broke up into some individual sessions, just kind of a chance to get a little bit further in depth and do it a little bit more like a dialogue type of thing. Um, I kind of made my way around. Uh, it's kind of hard because you kind of want to go to all three at once, and sometimes there's a crowd and you're standing 6 feet behind and can't hear. But anyways, at the end, things were dwindling down, and the way it kind of shook out was Collins's mom was kind of stealing the show a little bit.
Oh really? That's funny.
He's kind of being he was kind of fake jealous about it. He's like, "Oh, so you're the star now." And he, as we were interviewing her about some things, he came over and took somebody's mic and started asking her a few questions, and he gave her a peck on the cheek, and it was cute. He's so
Uh,
young. These kids are such babies now. It's like they're young enough to be my kids. I mean, I have a 19-year-old and he's 19.
yeah.
I'm not exaggerating. Okay, she's gonna be 19 in a week, but close enough.
Yeah. It's kind of fascinating that, yeah, they're 19 and I don't know. It's just funny to me that one thing I have a cousin who actually he's huge compared to me. I think he's about 6'5", 6'6" already. But I believe when I last saw him, he was 15 years old and he was that height.
Oh my
So
goodness.
yeah, so you look at him, he plays for the basketball team at his school, but
Sure.
you look at him and you don't see him as a kid, like mentally, that
Right.
he's a 15-year-old. Like I had to keep telling myself, yeah, he towers over me, dwarfs me, probably has more muscle than me. I don't know. But I have to keep telling me mentally he's like a 15-year-old and just wants to play video games. So you see these guys, 19-year-olds, 18-year-olds, someone as young as Dennis when he joined the Hawks. Well, John Collins now. I don't know. It's just fascinating to think that this is what they're getting into. And I don't know, maybe just because I have a family member like that, but it was just
No.
interesting to me that I noticed that. And it's,
And the amazing thing for Collins is that
yeah,
he's 19 and he has 2 years of college. He graduated high school at 17. So even though he's just a young pup,
yeah,
he went to college for 2 years. So you kind of get the best of both worlds. You're like, you get
yeah,
somebody that has some experience, kind of, took a year of college, kind of felt things out, and then in the second year, kind of blew the doors off. And at the same
yeah,
time, he's still 19. So you look at where he is in the learning curve, and there's so much room for him to grow and get better. So, and
yeah.
he's got the athletic package to go with it. So that it's like a win-win-win.
So, what do you think of John Collins's fit with Atlanta and relatively to where they drafted him? Where did you like the pick when it happened, when it came through? I have to get
I
everyone's
do.
opinion.
I do. I mean, I'm not a college expert. I watch so much NBA, Hawks. Otherwise, I pay attention to European basketball
Yeah.
that I don't have time for college basketball much. And as a nice sidebar, not much anyways.
Yeah, I understand
There's
you.
kind
That's
of
why
a
I got to
few
ask.
times when you watch the NBA and then you switch down to college basketball. I was like, oh, college basketball. So I don't I don't consider myself a draft expert at rating the prospects, but in terms of fit, they got a young kid who's big and athletic. They're going to need big men. He seems to have a pretty diverse skill set. I like the fact that they got somebody, who's not just big, but
he's sort of big, but what's the word? Versatile. He
Yeah.
looks like he can put the ball on the deck a little bit. He looks like he's going to be able to shoot, even though he didn't do much at Wake. He looks like he's got nice form and stuff. So, the fact that he's big and athletic and versatile, looks to me like a good package. And again, he's 19, so uh, you know, there's just so much time for him to learn, anyways.
That was basically the consensus of the Patrick gave. Patrick is a huge college fan, and he really gave me a deep dive. Um, Shockingly that he knows this much, but yeah, he basically gave me the same consensus. I know some people question about his defense, but to me, he has the athletic ability, so it seems like something that can be taught, like even just to be
Yeah, Schlenk
average.
said.
Yeah,
Schlenk said about that. He's like, he talked to Danny Manning about it, and basically, I guess Danny Manning was saying, stay out of foul trouble. You've
yeah,
got a bunch of shooting guards, and you've got him in there, and it's like, okay, you are our big man, our scoring centerpiece, so you're gonna have to be careful and stay on the court so you can play 36 minutes and give us a chance to win. They didn't really have a bunch of big man depth, so you know
yeah.
he
Okay.
might be able to turn up the aggressiveness when he's going out there for 12 to 18 minute stints instead of 36-minute stints when he's got 6 fouls instead of 5 to play with.
Yeah. Also, good rebounder, and something that really caught my eye was how efficient he was scoring. And he could move around and get open without the basketball. He didn't just need to pound away at it. So it seems like very veteran things for someone that's 19.
Yeah,
Okay.
his finishing moves look good. Like he can finish with a dunk, he can finish with soft touch. He looks like that. More than anything else, that sort of struck me. He can finish with a dunk. He can finish sort of with either hand. Just finish with a nice soft touch. Finish in transition. He just looks like a sort of a scoring finisher. It's a bad comp,
Yeah.
but I would say another player who is just a natural born finisher was Amari Stoudemire. He's going to be different. He's not as athletic. He'll probably be more of a shooter than Stoudemire was, but he just reminds me of that kind of player. Just a guy you give him the ball near the rim and he's going to do something good with it.
All right. Second comparison I've heard to a Omari comparison, which I'm just going to run
Really?
with.
Somebody else said
Yeah.
that, huh?
Yeah. Somebody else said that. They said a less athletic Amari Stoudemire.
Yeah, that kind of makes sense.
All right. So you're on the right track then. If any whoever I gotta trying to remember who told me that. But now that I got a legit source of telling me that, I can go ahead and say, I guess you were right. So, Kale, I don't know if you know this, but one of my more popular videos last year, excuse me, recordings last year was when you came on and we talked about Jeff Teague, the possibility of trading him, and Dennis and his possibility for starting for the Hawks. And that was kind of heading into the free agency. And, I had you on, and that was one of my more popular videos last year. People wanted to hear what we thought, I guess.
Sure.
So let me kind of go with the same thing here. And we're going to go into free agency, just a early look of free agency for this year, which is coming up this weekend. So let's just go ahead and jump into the big question that everyone in Atlanta land and everywhere else that would be interested in him. Should Paul Millsap be the main focus to bring back in Atlanta? What do you think?
I mean,
The big question.
it is a big question. As Travis Schlenk has said, that his number one goal is flexibility, and I don't think that's anything. I don't think it's too much of an extrapolation to then take that and run with it and say that has something to do with Paul Millsap.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
I mean, he's also said that he thinks that it's not like he's trying to just blow Millsap off. He thinks there's a way to have Millsap under contract and have it be a good contract from the team's point of view as well as Millsap's. But, you know, I think there was a report today, so I didn't dig that deeply into it. But you know, the just reading the headline of the rumor without any substantiation, it said something like Denver, Sacramento, Minnesota were prepared to offer max contracts, which, you know, I don't know about Sacramento, what their situation is. They're kind of just all over the place, I guess. At least that's been their track record. They had a very nice draft, and so maybe they're starting to put it together. But you know, looking at Denver and Minnesota, those kind of look like fits. Like it doesn't seem crazy that those would be the teams that would want to offer a max contract. You know, given that they can probably they either have the space or can make it. I think Denver has it. Minnesota can make it. Um, and they're both on timelines that they want to accelerate. You know, Denver wants to start to get the young players that they have, you know, some veteran leadership and make a push into the playoffs. And, you know, Minnesota's got 2 years with Jimmy Butler. So
Yeah.
if those are places that want to offer a max contract, and, you know, keep in mind that their max contract isn't what the Hawks could offer. You know, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. And, you know, maybe there's, you know, it's hard to, you know, it's the gray area where it's hard to read, where, you know, I think Schlenk has said enough where you can kind of infer that he probably doesn't want to do a max contract. Does he want to do something that's roughly the size of a max contract of what the other teams could offer? That part we don't know, and so it's going to be interesting to see. We can guess all day, but you know it's so close, just a few days away. I'm willing to wait and find out. We'll see what happens.
Oh yeah. Well, one thing I figured out from Schlink is that his answers have not answered anything I was wondering. um, he
You
says
know,
we value flexibility, but at the same time we value Paul Millsap and we see his importance. I'm like, wait, so which is it? Because you know, if you want to keep him, it I really don't know what to think. The Dwight trade to me seems to have been able to, I guess, it would make more sense now to bring him back following the trade in the sense that I don't know. This is just me talking that hey, if we have Millsap at not the complete max contract, but hey, that would be an asset down the line or for something or two. I think he'd be great around the younger players that are coming in,
right?
especially something that I'm going to touch on later. I thought, yeah, I think he'd be great about around the younger players. I think he'd be an asset, and I don't know what the Hawks are trying to do. Also, I, I don't know what they're trying to do, like in the sense of winning versus. I don't want to say tanking, but let's say building assets. Is that a safe word? Safe word I can use?
You could use
Because
Schlenk's word, which is sort of achieving flexibility.
achieving flexibility. Yes.
I'm with him though. No, honestly though, like we've seen teams, you know, try to tank, and it's not like they're
Yeah.
And found their way back to the finals or real contention. You know, they get good maybe, and they get stars, and they get to the playoffs. But you know, there are other paths to the playoffs. Now, you know, if you look back at what Ferry did just a few years ago, you know, his rebuilding of the Hawks into that 60-win team wasn't about tanking and getting, you know, a bunch of 19-year-olds and, you know, getting on that track to trying to get to success. It was about, you know, getting cap flexibility, finding players that were talented and signing them to cheap deals so that you get a bunch of guys like that and get depth and get talent and find the right coach for the system and do things that way. You know, if that's what Schlenk's trying to do all over again for 2017, because it's such a different league than it was 5 years ago. But if he's trying to do the 2017 version of that, that sounds as good to me as a tank job.
Hmm. Yeah, that's. I'm not necessarily going full tank, but I agree with you with flexibility. Getting rid of the flexibility would kind of, to me, just keep Atlanta treading water. So I don't know. It well, that's why he's the GM and not me, which is kind of something I'm kind of glad of. So yeah, the Millsap thing is going to be interesting to watch. I'm still kind of not sure which direction the Hawks are going to be headed. Now, because say the Hawks lose Millsap to one of these teams that want to offer him more, and he deserves every right to go wherever he wants. The Hawks, in my opinion, I don't think they will be that good. So it's hard for me to see where they would want to go. Now,
Right.
one thing that kind of is my fear, and this was kind of based on last season. Now, granted, Schlink was not here last season, so we don't have to worry about random large contracts that we weren't expecting. Is my biggest fear is if Paul leaves, will we go all in on someone like Taj Gibson or Serge Ibaka to take his place? Is that something I need to fear, KL?
No, I don't think so at all. I mean, Schlink has repeatedly praised Millsap. Even when Howard was here, he called Millsap the best player on the team, said he was a four-time All-Star, and I think he recognizes that Millsap is one of those players for whom the total is more than the sum of the parts. You put together his
Yeah.
defense and his personality and his offense and his ball handling ability and his rebounding. You just put it all together, and it's like he's a player that can be on the court in any situation.
Yes.
And you can't say that about Taj Gibson and Serge Ibaka. Um, those are terrific players, but I think over the last couple of years, those two have worn down a little bit. Maybe haven't been quite the players that they were just a few years ago. So I don't know. I think that Shunk has said he prizes flexibility above everything else. If that weren't his modus operandi, then I think he'd be all in on Paul Millsap and realize that he's like a top 20 player in the NBA.
Yeah.
That he's kind of torn because he knows that if he signs Millsap until he's 36 or 37, that's going to be a tough deal at the end of it. It's going to be an older player on a massive deal. So it's a really thorny situation about
Yeah.
a really good player that they prize a lot, but it's just the math of it doesn't really work out that well. Just the way the length of contracts and the collective bargaining agreement are set up. If you give him the max, the tail end of the contract doesn't look so hot.
Yeah, that's kind of been the debate, at least for the last 6 months or so, for people that have been paying attention. Year, maybe.
Player. And one thing I
Yeah.
would say about Millsap, and you brought up Gibson and Ibaka, I think that, what's Millsap now, 32?
Yes.
I mean, I think, 2 years from now, if you look at the combination of one, where the league is heading, and two, what could you make of Paul Millsap when he's 34 years old? I think he's going to be a perfectly fine sort of small ball center in a couple of years. If he's not a power forward and he, slows down a little bit or whatever athletically, I think he can still function as a center. I don't think that's going to be that big of a problem. There will be centers maybe that wouldn't be great matchups, but if it's a matter of trying to get him some extra minutes on the court in ideal situations, then playing him at center would work just fine in nice matchups.
Okay. That is a good point. So +1 for bringing Paul Millsap back. You heard it here. KL says bring him back at the max contract.
411 million.
I just want to say, if you're getting those checks from him for saying that, just remember me. Okay, so talked about Paul Millsap, and you know, guys, this is an early stab at free agency, so chances are I'm going to be back here next week saying talking about this exact same stuff, especially for the rumors that we're going to hear coming from over the weekend. But next, I wanted to ask, speaking of free agency and Hawks, is Tim Hardaway Jr. Now, with how the roster is set up and how kind of the offseason may go, how important do you think it is, KL, to bring back THJ to the Hawks? Um, what I'm kind of asking here is, do we need to place a high priority on him? Or is it, we have, you know what? Let me just, yeah, we'll go with the easy question. Should we place as high a priority on him to bring back?
Uh, I'm really intrigued by it. I wonder. eh, I've been to I think all of the media availabilities that Schlink has had so far, and he's mentioned Tim Hardaway, but I don't think we've gotten into it in any sort of real depth. I don't think he's sort of described Hardaway in any way, or just kind of said that he's a restricted free agent that they want to have back, probably something like at the right price or something like that. So, I don't know. When I think of Schlink, I try to think about the Warriors, and you think about the Warriors, and I I kind of think about the Warriors defense a lot, just as much as the
Yeah.
offense, and you wonder, does he believe in Tim Hardaway Jr. as a defender? I don't know. And is his offense maybe a good enough counter set if he doesn't believe in the defense? It's an interesting problem. I think also just there's a combination there somewhere about the fact that Hardaway isn't necessarily an A1 free agent in the sense, like a superstar free agent necessarily. Um, and he's a restricted free agent, and the salary cap bubble is over. The years of the salary cap spikes, going up 20 million a year, those aren't going to happen anymore. So teams are closer to the cap than they were in the last couple of summers, and there aren't as many teams that have a combination of a need for a wing and the actual cap space to make a restricted free agency offer that will tie up their cap then for 48 hours or whatever the new rules under the CBA are. It, is he a restricted free agent that might get pinched a little bit? I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see, and I think just from a strategy point of view, the Hawks might be willing to sort of play it out and see what sorts of offers does he get.
It might be interesting also because I believe Caldwell Pope is also a restricted free agent this summer, I believe. And I anticipate many teams throwing out their money towards him first because say he's a better player. So the you're right. It's a very interesting situation because one, would teams rather go after him, KCP first? So Hardaway might be number 2 on the list of restricted shooting guards that people would want. And also another thing, the Warriors point that you brought up is really good and something I was wondering to myself. But something else I was wondering is the current structure of the team. Um, with hmm, with Dwight gone, I can probably anticipate that Kent might be getting go back into his role. I think Kent is better playing at the 2 position. He's an incredibly hard worker and just everything that he provides. But I think he was better served at the 2 position, seeing as we had the rookie come in and play small forward. And another thing is Kent's on the book for the next 3 years. So if you want to talk about flexibility or not just really kind of I don't know, wasting money, it seems like it would make sense to get the guy that you're paying all the money for to go out and succeed to the best of his ability on the team. So that's I'd say the roster makeup is why I'm kind of conflicted in thinking if Hardaway will return. And on top of that, other needs and also the need around the league on that.
One other thing, I guess, if we're just kind of guessing and throwing stuff against the wall here.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Here's one I'll throw up there.
All right.
The days of having one ball handler are over.
Yep.
Okay. I mean, it's not, if you need somebody to dribble or handle the ball, you give it to the point guard. That's doesn't exist anymore. And God bless Kyle Korver, but one thing that Tim Hardaway Jr. had in his favor when they made the switch is that the combination of the threat of his point shot, the threat of his 3-point shot, with his ability to kind of put the ball on the deck and attack the rim, that was a really potent combination.
Yeah.
And when the Hawks drafted Tyler Dorsey, Schlenk has said a few times now, we're really glad that he has abilities as a secondary ball handler. Now, for years, and what the Hawks had in terms of ball handlers is the point guard, whether it was Teague or Schroeder, and Paul Millsap. If Paul Millsap goes, that kind of takes their secondary creation ability away.
Yeah, and another very important thing for Paul Millsap.
And if they lose Hardaway and Millsap, that's a big deal. Because then you're looking at Bazemore and Prince, and they're trying to get better at that, and they have gotten better at that. But it probably would be a job better assigned to a Millsap or a Hardaway. And while Schlenk has said a couple of times now that he's glad that Dorsey can do it, Dorsey's a 41st pick overall and a rookie. If he does do that in the NBA, that would be great, but it's probably not going to happen in his rookie year. So they might need Hardaway for that secondary creative ability, and that might be something that Schlenk values.
Yes, but then at the same time, the whole defensive thing that you mentioned
you got to balance things out. I mean, they had Steph Curry, and Tim Hardaway's not Steph Curry, but you still have to score points, and maybe he's the defender who has to try really hard, but isn't necessarily Draymond Green or Andre Iguodala, right? Still fit in the defensive scheme without being necessarily the all-world ball stopper, and maybe they think that Hardaway can do that. And okay, I have to clarify. I think Steph Curry is a really underrated defender, and when I saw the people that gave him all defense votes, I was happy to see it because number one, he's really good on the ball. His hands are quick. He gets steals. He's on a team that won like 200 games in 3 years. He's not a weak. If he's a weak link defensively, it's only because his teammates are so freaking good. He's a good defender, and his offense is so good that he plays defense just by playing offense because he's so hard to chase around the court. He just kills opponents' legs, and they're so freaking tired by the end of the game. That the Warriors play good defense because they've just worn the other team out.
War of attrition.
He wins that war a lot. So I mean, just that whole package, I think he's just fine and dandy from a defensive perspective on my book.
That's a good point. Best defense is a good offense. Now, when Jamal Crawford, no, I'm kidding.
Not the same.
Okay. One thing I did find fascinating with the Dorsey signing was, I don't know, maybe
they drafted him.
Excuse me, draft. See, this is why I'm here. My thought was that he seemed to be a perfect pairing for if the Hawks wanted to grow and groom him and Bembry, because they seem to kind of complement each other's skill set in that sense. So that was kind of my thought going into that draft, which is also he's kind of another player. I'm not saying they're they're definitely not equal in, let's say, scoring ability. But I was just wondering, just because of what the roster is, the roster makeup at the moment. But you do bring up a good point about losing a ball handler. So again, that's why Travis is the GM and not me. So I don't have to make these
Yeah.
decisions.
If we go
So,
with the Warriors analogy,
yeah.
I think Tyler Dorsey is going to be more of your Ian Clark, whereas DeAndre Bembry is going to be something more like a little tougher to make that analogy, but more like a Patrick McCaw, something like that.
Hmm. Hmm.
Hmm.
It's a good point.
We still don't have Steph Curry.
We still don't have Steph Curry. Who gets JaVale McGee? Who's does my next subject? Does my next subject that I was going to bring up, the man bun, make up for the rat tail? My my next subject for the Hawks, which I was going to
Man bun's better, yeah.
man bun's better. Okay. So my next subject, my final subject for the night, before we get to questions, that I was going to bring up is, how much has Mike Muscala's value increased these last 2 weeks? And should the Hawks prioritize bringing him back over Tim Hardaway Jr.? Now, to me, the argument for this is, with Dwight gone, this really only leaves one big man that knows the system, still relatively young. And we he's kind of the backup or center that you would want with how the league is going. Let's see. What did I mention? I mentioned knows the system. And I had another fantastic point, but I can't remember it at the moment. Uh, Probably man bun. Right, but okay. And the last thing I was going to say, but at the same time, I wonder if his value increases on the team, and let's just say his agent or himself, he realizes this, and they would want to raise his price. But at the same time, I don't know, would any other team want him. Go ahead and just destroy my thoughts here. How valuable is Mike Muscala in his possible return to Atlanta?
He's really valuable. At the end of the season, I think I wrote a player recap for all 15 players, and the one from Muscala was basically, he's a he's a prototypical big man for 2016-17 for where the league is heading.
Yeah.
He's not a perfect player, but he's a for a center. He's an amazing passer. He contests jump shots well. He gets up. Pretty good rebounder. I think he's a good shooter with the potential to become an even better shooter. And it's interesting because they have so little depth. And I think it's also interesting because there's sort of a glut of big men, but they're the big men that you want. You look around the league, and teams are using situations where they play one big man instead of two a lot more, and just the overall market for big men has shrunk. But I think his skill set is the type of big man that kind of dwindling, and so I don't know what the equilibrium point is going to be for all that. I do think the Hawks will have some flexibility in the sense that if it's not Muscala, there are a lot of big men available, and while a lot of those big men aren't going to be good matches for the Hawks, that Schlenk might feel like he can pick out one who is a good fit. Again, I don't know who that would be. When I talked to Chris Barnwell, I think it was Chris Barnwell. Well, no, I think it was somebody else. It's late and my memory's fading. But somebody brought up to me the idea of, getting James Michael McAdoo, which kind of feels like, sort of when they signed Bazemore and they signed Justin Holiday, it was kind of, getting talent from the Warriors for cheap. guys with skill sets who just didn't play because the Warriors were so terrifically deep.
Who's Michael
Matthewson's been there
McAdoo?
a while. He's talented. He's kind of a he's not a big man as Muscala is, but just the way the league is heading, if Schlink wants to play a certain way, that way is probably going to be a lot like what the Warriors were doing, and McAdoo certainly would know that well. So, you know, that's just one example. There will be others, but it's Muscala is a really great player. I think he's a good fit for what Budenholzer does, and probably what Schlink wants to do too. And you know, he's probably one of many options. They're going to have to look at options anyways because their depth is likely going to be so short. Um, so they're going to be looking either way, whether Muscala comes back or not. And there's probably a number in Schlink's head for how high he wants to go, and I don't know what it is, and we'll have to see how much Muscala asks for. But it could go either way. I don't think it's franchise altering either way, but to get him back at the right price, would certainly be good for the team.
Is franchise altering in the sense that the fans love him, we love the man bun, we love the moose goggles, and everything else.
He's a good. You get the sense he's just a really good teammate too. He's nice to talk to. He's such a pleasant kid. I don't know. It's just there's something to be said for a certain team spirit. I think you gotta kind of got a feel for it in that. Remember that road game that the Hawks won at the end of the season in Cleveland, where it was just the bench guys and the ball was flying all the heck all over the place.
Yeah, there were a couple games like that.
That could be the ideal for what the Hawks want to do. It might not win them a championship in 2018, but it might be a good running start. Yeah.
Good first step. Well, I know it is super late, so let's get to these questions real quick that we have. First one, Chris Trimble at KTRAM49 says, and this is more as a draft night question, so just your quick fire thoughts on this. Considering the plethora of open roster spots to fill the G League now, not D League, are you surprised the Hawks didn't procure extra picks given the talent in the draft?
I mean, they had 3 picks, which is kind of a lot, and they had the 60th pick, which is, kind of sort of your. I guess the 60th pick kind of tells you a little bit about where they're going.
Yeah.
In the sense that if you're going to do a draft and stash, you're probably going to do it at 60. And they did draft a young man who's, funny and bright and looks like a great basketball player and tells ridiculously good stories in a second language. And he's going to bust his blessed heart out in summer league. But in all likelihood, I think he's probably going to play in Europe another year. And so, if they're doing that, that's probably a telltale sign that they have all the contracts that they want. In all honesty, the D League is going to be the G League is going to be very good for the Hawks in that when they get young players, they can send them to get playing time and experience in their own system with their own, subset of coaches and things like that. But I don't think those two-way contracts are in any way appealing to agents at this point. If you've got if you're an agent for a player, priority 1 is get an NBA gig. Priority 2 is going to be still, get him a gig in Europe, and then maybe third down the line will be, get a two-way contract because it's still not going to pay all that much. So
Yeah.
I think at this point, agents aren't really looking for those two-way contracts. So any roster evaluation that the Hawks are doing is based on their 15 players that they plan to have. And, given that they did a draft and stash at 60, they probably weren't looking to get more rookies. They probably want to get more experienced players to fill out their 15.
Okay. All right. Well, there you go, Chris. Sam Hodge asks, does John Collins' recent statement of adoration for Paul Millsap make it more imperative to sign him? Conspiraciness. Can John Collins get more importantly? Can John Collins get caught for tampering before the before free agency?
No, because Millsap isn't. I don't think so. Maybe if he does it after July 1, but I think right now everybody's still under contract. I don't think
Did
anybody's actually a free agent until July 1. Like if Millsap wants to work out in the Hawks facilities or do whatever, or he's still a member of the Hawks until July 1. So I don't think there's any tampering. Uh, as to whether or not it makes it more imperative, I think it's probably it's a nice thing, but in the larger scheme of things, I don't think it's going to sway the decision one way or the other
yeah.
from the Hawks' perspective or Millsap's.
So tampering does not come into effect until after free agency starts, you say?
Yeah, but really, I mean, if Draymond is like texting Kevin Durant, from the locker room, and Gay said, "What's tampering?"
Yeah, I guess that's true. Um, I guess that is true. And John Wall saying how he needs Paul George. So I guess I don't
I
know.
always thought that Wall would be the guy who kind of became the epicenter of like the NBA version of Kentucky, like just all the Calipari guys sort of getting wooed and schmoozed by Wall to get them to come play for the Wizards. I thought that Wall would be the one to get that, like bring in Boogie and bring it for Reclamation Project and bring in all these Kentucky guys, and instead it's Paul George, which from a talent perspective makes all the sense in the world, but I just think
Yeah.
sort of the less interesting version of the banana boat. Just kind of get all the Kentucky guys in DC.
Have Calipari coach them. So he
What?
can so he could stop humble bragging at the draft by saying, "Oh, I got so many of my guys here. I don't know which
I
seat
don't know
to."
which table to go sit at. It's
Yeah.
so hard. I'm gonna be here till 2 in the morning thanking my players.
Somebody mentioned to me how Calipari would say, "That's my guy. This is my guy." Blah blah blah, and I'm like, so I only heard you say this is your guy if it's like Eric Bledsoe, John Wall, Boogie.
Right.
Um, does your guy include Marquise Teague or any of the other guys guys at the bottom of the you know guys who couldn't make it to the league or aren't in the league? Are they your guys as well? But that's another subject.
College coaches just don't know how to turn that off. There's like no off switch.
Yeah, yeah,
They're just recruiting 365.
yeah. Well, living in Georgia, you see that with SEC football all the time. But but yeah, I'm sorry you brought up Kentucky, and that was I had to say
Well,
that.
there you go.
Okay, so
What was the question? We started about the Collins Millsap thing.
yeah, that was the question from Sam for Collins Millsap. So Sam, we got your question in. So we have a couple questions. One from at Sam the Man, um, and Truebane Virgo. They just want to know which center should the Hawks consider going after this summer. My answer is the one, the only Man Bun, but I think he has a certain financial amount that I would be willing to go for. And for me personally, again, I don't think the Hawks are going to be that good, especially if they lose Paul Millsap. So it's kind of the direction that they want to see the team go. Like if they want to, build young or whatever, build young, improve the skills on certain players. Because to me, it's very painful to watch a bad team that is old. Last year, we got stretches of that where it was just hard for me to go through my league pass. But sorry, I cut you off there.
Okay, so you were asking me which centers you go after in free agency?
Yeah, just if you had a couple, that's what we're being asked.
That's a tricky one. you know, I kind of like young guys. Like,
Yeah.
it's not even. I'm not even interested in the free agents. I'm more interested in maybe players who are undervalued. Like,
Yeah.
if it, did we touch on before how much I like Larry Nance?
Do you like Larry Nance? Sorry.
I think he is a good fit as kind of a small ball center. I like I like the guys on the back end of like Toronto's roster. Like, how much does Toronto value Bebe? Can we get him back?
Oh,
I'd be in for Bebe round two. And I don't think he's a free agent, but um, kind of going big man, not necessarily center, but like let's say that Denver, which I think of the places that are mentioned, maybe is the most strong candidate. If Denver comes in to recruit Millsap, I think you kind of go for the counter blow and start saying, okay, what can we get from Denver? Can you get Gallinari? I mean, can he play power forward? I would be interested in that if Millsap leaves. Kind of play small, play crazy shooting, play up tempo, and just kind of run and gun, and use some of your forwards as center. Play Collins at center. If you keep Muscala, play Muscala at center. That kind
yeah.
of thing. So I don't know. It's interesting.
Um,
I'd have to sit down. It's like 1 in the morning, East Coast time, and you to a spot betraying
okay.
me.
Uh,
What do you think?
okay.
If you would, who would be your targets for a free agent center?
Oh, I would have to go down my list. Um, I'm kind of like you, actually, in the sense of going after the young,
What about Derek
talented.
Favors? Is Derek Favors a free agent?
Is he? Is
Atlanta?
Derek
I think he is.
Favors?
I
Bring
think
bring
that's interesting. I don't
bring him
think
back to
he's a good
Georgia.
fit for what Schlink wants, though. Like,
Nah, bring him back to Georgia.
I think he wants a little more up tempo. And Favors has been in Utah, which has been like the most plodding team in the league. I think they need something a little zippier. Although I think he's a really good player, I just don't know if he's a Schlink fit or not.
I actually have not had time to look up Sam's question prior to this. Normally I do some background on the questions that were given, but unfortunately, KL has called me out right now and has shown my inadequacy to think of an answer on the fly, because I can't really think who's a free agent. Um, go get Blake Griffin to play center. I don't know.
Okay,
No.
you know what? I think Blake Griffin is a center. Like in 2017 in the NBA, after years of landing from 45-inch vertical leaps,
Yeah.
with his passing ability, I think the reason he's been playing power forward is because DeAndre Jordan's on his team.
Yeah.
When I look at Blake Griffin, I think Dave Cowens. Cowens played center, and I'd love to see him try center for a year and see what happens. I think that would be just fine and dandy. That works for me. The only problem is you're going to have to pay him so much money, but just
Yeah.
I'm I'm a little bit weary of Blake Griffin, the next contract from after years of Lob City. But as far as Blake Griffin playing center, that's I'd be all in. I want to see that.
If Millsap can transform into the eventual center, then I think Blake would be, minus the injuries,
But
would
see, that's the
be,
thing. I mean, you
yeah.
can't sign them both, but like those are the kind of two guys you want to put together if you do it. Like, not really have a center, but have like two power forwards that are just rocks under the
Yeah.
basket.
That are super
Both can
strong.
make both. In terms of a passing front court, that would be ridiculous. In terms of a ball handling front court, that would be ridiculous. That would be a really, really fun team. But yeah, nobody's gonna have money to sign both of them.
Yeah. So let's go to this last question. We have from Kevin Jones, GA. He asks, the past two champions did not have a true center, maybe the Hawks should go after LaMarcus Aldridge. Um, I don't know how the Hawks would do that, Kevin. Um, our assets are kind of lacking at the moment in order to get that. And sorry, I personally don't see how that's going to happen. But I know somebody, one of our hosts a couple of years ago, was really into the LaMarcus Hawks going for LaMarcus free agency. But if that were to happen, how would the Hawks go after them, KL? Go after him, KL. Just say hypothetically. What would they have to do? What what would they have to give up for that?
I mean, I guess it depends. Like, if if the Spurs feel like if they clear enough salary space, they can get uh, George Hill or um, Chris Paul, then they'll probably be happy to just make the trade work and get the money off their cap. So you'd probably, the biggest thing I think you'd want to get back to San Antonio is just some kind of cap relief, which, I don't think the Hawks have the right package of non-guaranteed contracts or anything like that to make it work.
Yeah.
Um, but just by and large, if San Antonio is ready to move on from somebody, I, as a general rule, would want them. I don't think that worked out very well the last time.
Nope.
Not naming names. Um, but yeah, the Spurs are pretty good at the whole personnel evaluation thing. And LaMarcus was hurt in the playoffs, and he's still a really good player. But yeah, if I'm steering the ship, I don't think that would be the direction I would try to head in.
Yeah. Geez. When the Spurs are done with somebody, it kind of I can't think of anybody immediately where I'm like, oh, look, had a fantastic career after he left San Antonio. I can't think of anyone. Um,
Doesn't
who
even
is
really
it?
have to be
Gary
Milwaukee.
Neal went to Toronto, and no,
That didn't work. He went to
uh,
Milwaukee, and that
yeah,
didn't work.
yeah. I honestly can't think of anybody who's like that. Dewan Blair, didn't he get traded? No, and he didn't really.
No, definitely
Nope.
not Dewan Blair.
Yeah, yeah. Hmm. Yeah, maybe that's the hint. Kind of like how.
Steven Jackson,
Oh
he
no.
had won a title, and then he left, and kind of wheels fell off after that for him.
Yeah.
I think he eventually went back when it was really too late, but that doesn't really count. But just when he left the Spurs when he was good, yeah, it kind of didn't work
Yeah.
out after he left. And you know,
Yeah.
some guys, some teams they don't put the good merchandise in the yard sale,
Uh.
right?
George.
You don't want to go antique hunting at their house.
Yeah. George Hill wasn't terrible. Just now the Utah doesn't want him, but uh, I don't know. Um, Kevin, if yeah,
George
don't
Hill would be a really good fit for them. I think they would be into that. George Hill part two. I think
George
that
Hill
would be a
part.
good fit for the Spurs. But yeah, sorry, I don't mean to take you off the rails in the last minute.
No, no, no. I enjoy being taken off the rails because it kind of makes up for the fact that I can't think of an answer. So, but we won't let anybody know that.
Okay.
So, oh man, um, this is this has been our late night, our late Tuesday night recording. I probably won't get into editing until probably tomorrow since I got to get ready for work. But KL, any chance we see you with a big baller brand T-shirt or hat at next year's games? A
Never say
nice,
never.
a nice sweet black and excuse me, red and white or red and volt green big baller brands shirt.
Yeah, probably not. I think I have LeVar Ball muted in my tweet deck, but
Oh,
I
really?
I salute his innovation. I mean, the idea of making your own brand, it's a good idea. I just think that you know it's as
It's
much as
it,
I want to unsubscribe from it, I can
yeah.
appreciate the fact that he's basically Skip Baylessing marketing, and people are falling for it. So say what you want about LeVar Ball, but he's making it work.
Now, for those of you that just heard Kale right there, how he said he was Skip Baylessing marketing, if you understood his reference and joked there, then congratulations, you're nerds like us. So, I mean, LeVar Ball, he is unique. I see what he's doing. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, it's like you say, he's Skip Baylessing marketing. He's just out there. And you know what? It's kind of like how that old saying, there is no, what is it? There is no, all bad press is good press or something like that.
Pretty
He's
much,
just
yeah.
continuing to build his popularity. And it's exactly what Skip Bayless was doing for a long time. And I,
Yeah.
I don't know. Did you happen to see LeVar and family on what was he on WWE apparently?
I didn't. The only
I
thing I'm curious about is why is he hanging around with two of his kids and not the third one? Backstory on that?
Now somebody said I was reading a tweet. Somebody said they imagine Leangelo, that's the third kid. He's probably at home doing dishes, and having magic mice, uh, mice dancing and stuff, Cinderella style, while he's at home, while they're out doing stuff, which is kind of funny to me. Almost as odd as I'm suddenly picking up a text somebody sent to me, and they ask, "How come Woj didn't spoil the picks for the NBA awards last night?" But
Yeah, I don't know. Some kind of secret pact or something.
but anyway, I know I have kept you up really late, and I very much appreciate you staying up and talking with me.
What was
One
the
day,
bomb? Did you see it?
I did not know.
It says James Doling is weighing the future of Phil Jackson as New York Knicks president.
Oh, yeah, I see it right now. Actually, just came across. Whew.
Oof.
Oh, that is. The Knicks are another story on itself. I have many other stories, but Kale, thank you for staying up late with me. And one day I will get the connection to work. I don't know what it is. I thought everything was okay on my end, but
Probably
one
mine.
day,
Probably mine, but we'll see. I'll let you know if I let other people down, and then you'll know it was mine.
no, just go ahead and let me know if it's my computer. I'll just come back to Georgia. Hopefully, being in the same state, the connections will be better.
And you
But
finally hang out with Warriors fans.
oh, well, if Paul Millsap goes to the Kings, I have a new team to go support them. But
Sure.
thank you for coming on. Anything you wanted to shout out? Any articles, podcasts that you have coming up? By the way, check out his podcast, ATL 29. Seriously, it's great.
That's it. That's it. A podcast.
Cool,
Good. Well,
cool.
thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you for joining me. Hopefully, can get you back either later in the summer or in the year or something.
Sounds good.
Great. Thank you, everyone, for listening, and catch you next time.